Spanish Exploration in the 1400s to the 15th century by Muhammad Musa. An overview of the 1400s. In the year 1400, the first golf balls were invented. Also, the first piano called the spinet was invented. In 1411, the first trigger was invented. In 1455, Johannes Gutenberg invented the printing press with movable type. In 1465, in Germany, dry point engravings were invented. In 1485, Leonardo da Vinci designed a parachute. In 1487, the first bell chimes were invented. And in 1492, Leonardo da Vinci theorized flying machines. Voyages of Columbus. Christopher Columbus was an Italian explorer who sailed across the Atlantic Ocean in 1492, hoping to find the route to India. He made a total of 4 trips to the Caribbean and South America during the years 1492 to 1504. Columbus's first trip. Columbus sailed for King Ferdinand II and Queen Isabel of Spain. On his first trip, Columbus led an expedition with 3 ships, the Nina, the Pinta, and Santa Maria, and about 98 crew members. They set sail on August 3, 1492 from Palos, Spain, and on October 11, 1492 spotted the Caribbean islands of southeastern North America. Landed on an island called Guanahana, but Columbus later renamed it San Salvador. They were met by local Taino Indians, many of whom were captured by Columbus's men and later sold into slavery. Columbus thought he had made it to Asia and called this area the Indies and called its inhabitants Indians. While exploring the islands in the area and looking for gold to loot, Columbus's men traveled to islands of Hispaniola, Cuba, and many other small islands. On the return trip, the Santa Maria was wrecked and captain of the Pinta sailed off on his own to try to beat Columbus back. Columbus returned to Spain in the Nina, arriving on March 15, 1493. The second trip. On a second larger expedition, Columbus sailed with 17 ships and 1,200 to 1,500 men to find gold and capture Indians as slaves in the Indies. He established a base in Hispaniola and sailed around Hispaniola and along the length of southern Cuba. He spotted and named the island of Dominicana on November 3, 1493. The third trip. On a third expedition, Columbus sailed farther south, to Trinidad and Venezuela. Columbus was the first European since Viking Leif Erikson to set foot on the mainland of America. The fourth trip. On his fourth and last expedition, Columbus sailed to Mexico, Honduras, and Panama, and Santiago. Columbus is buried in eastern Hispaniola. This is Columbus's route in 1492. Voyages of Balboa. Vasco Núñez de Balboa was a Spanish conquistador and explorer who was the first European to see the eastern part of the Pacific Ocean, crossing the Isthmus of Panama. In 1500, Balboa sailed with Rodrigo de Bastidas from Spain to Colombia. They searched for treasures along the north coast of South America and in the Gulf of Urabá. They were forced to abandon their leaky ships in Hispaniola. Balboa tried unsuccessfully to farm for a living. In 1510, Balboa stowed away on a boat going from Santo Domingo to San Sebastian. When they arrived at San Sebastian, he discovered that it had been burned to the ground. Balboa convinced the others to travel southwest with him to a spot he had seen on his earlier expedition. In 1511, Balboa founded a colony, the first European settlement in South America, the town of Santa Maria de la Antigua del Darien. Balboa married the daughter of Carrera, the local Indian chief. Soon after, in 1513, he sailed with hundreds of Spaniards and Indians across the Gulf of Urabá to the Darien Peninsula. Balboa headed an overland expedition west through very dense rainforest. Along the way, they fought many local Indians and destroyed one village, killing hundreds of Indians. Balboa was the first European to see the eastern part of the Pacific Ocean. Balboa and his men then traveled to the ocean and claimed it and all the land that touched it for Spain. They spent about a month conquering natives along the Pacific coast and stealing their gold. Balboa was charged with treason against Spain. Francisco Pizarro arrested Balboa. Balboa was found guilty and was publicly beheaded in Acla on January 1519. This is Balboa's route in 1513. Voyages of Magellan. Ferdinand Magellan was a Portuguese explorer who led the first expedition that sailed around the Earth. Magellan also named the Pacific Ocean. Magellan was born in northern Portugal. His parents, Pedro Rey and Magalhães and Alda de Mesquita, were members of the nobility. Early in his career, Magellan sailed to India and to the Far East many times via Africa's Cape of Good Hope. He sailed for his native Portugal, but a dispute with Portuguese King Manuel II turned him against the Portuguese after he sailed for Spain. Magellan and his friend, the astronomer Ruy de Falero, proposed to King Charles V that a westward voyage around the trip of South America would take them to Moluccas and avoid the Portuguese. The voyage began September 8, 1519, and lasted until September 6, 1522. Magellan sailed from Seville, Spain, with 5 ships: the Trinidad, San Antonio, Conception, Victoria, and Santiago. 3 years later, only 1 ship made it back to Seville, carrying only 18 of the original 217 crew members. Magellan was killed towards the end of the voyage on the island of Mactan in the Philippines during a battle with the natives. The Basque navigator Juan Sebastian de Elcano completed the trip. Magellan's route in 1519 through 1522. Voyages of Vespucci. Amerigo Vespucci was an Italian explorer who was the first person to realize that the Americas were separate from the continent of Asia. America was named for him in 1507, when the German mapmaker Martin Waldseemüller printed the first map that used the name America for the New World. On his first expedition, Vespucci was the navigator under the command of Alonso de Ojeda. On this trip, Ojeda and Vespucci discovered the mouth of the Amazon and Orinoco rivers in South America, thinking it was part of Asia. In his second expedition, he mapped some of the eastern coast of South America. He came to realize that it was not part of Asia but a new world. Vespucci's route.